Oh. Satchidananda-rupaya Vishvotpatyadi-hetave Tapatraya-vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditaratascharteshvabhignaswarat Tene Brahmahridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayaha Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharma Projita Ketavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Kim Va Parerishvaraha Sadyo Hridya Varudyate Trakritibihi Shushrushubi Tatkshana. With your eyes closed, invoke tapa and evoke shraddha. Hari Om, and greetings from Niagara Falls. When we were studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Puja Guruji had asked us, what is the way to develop love for the Lord? What is the way to develop love for the Lord? And he gave two means to be practiced serially. The first is listen. We commenced Vedanta and Ramayana in September of 2016. And we continued to explore Ramayana for 2.5 years, finishing in December of 2018. This was 78 classes, 78 hours of Ramayana. We commenced Vedanta and Bhagavata in January of 2019. And now we're completing 2.5 years of exploring Bhagavatam. It's May 2021. This is 92 classes. In my excitement, I added 14 more. There's actually 92 classes that we've flown through. And so collectively, we have invested 5 years, 170 hours in listening to that which is most important. This is Brahma Vidya, insights into the infinite. In our listening, we have traveled lots. The word Bhagavata is based on Ta is a boat. Va is the best. Ga is to go. And Bha means light awareness, joy. We are riding the best boat to the divine. A shloka from Garuda Purana, which I've been referencing a lot. Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, Puri, Dwaravati, Chaiva, Saptaite, Mokshadayakaha. Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, that is Haridwara. Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, and Puri, Puri, Dwaraka. We have traveled to all of these cities, starting from Ayodhya, and now we are in Dwaraka. These are Mokshadayakaha, is traveling inwards, is the route to moksha. What Swami Tejramayananda said as the second practice or step in developing love of the Lord is to let go. Listen and let go. We have been listening lots. That's the Ramayana and Bhagavata part. The letting go part is the Vedanta. And as we complete 5 years of devotional courses, 170 classes, ask yourself, are you letting go? How were you 5 years ago? How were you 5 months ago? How were you 5 days ago? When Bhagavan Krishna is sitting with the Brahmana, the messenger that Devi Rukmini had sent, Bhagavan Krishna shares how we should live. I'm rereading this for you in English. If a Brahmana lives contented with whatever comes to him, attracted by his holiness, and without any effort on his part, and sticks unswervingly to his swadharma, that conduct of his will bring welfare to the whole world. I'm asking all of you, are you feeling like a Brahmana? Are you studying Brahman? Are you sharing the infinite? When Bhagavan Krishna hears what the messenger has to share on behalf of Devi Rukmini, one of the lines he says back to this messenger, I am going to take Devi Rukmini like fire is taken from a stick. Such poetry. And the point is, to take fire from a stick requires a lot of effort. I am going to go into where Devi Rukmini is, and in a surgical, military way, I'm going to take that seeker, the one who is a mumukshu. Some more context before we get into what happens next. Bhagavan Krishna's older brother is Balarama. So he got married first. He got married to Revati. Revati. Bhagavan Krishna was feeling jealous that his older brother got married. I should get married too. As for Devi Rukmini, she had only heard of Bhagavan Krishna, and just by listening, she came to the conclusion that he is Bhuvana Sundara. That is a lovely compliment that none of us deserve, okay? Don't write it down and change your social media description. I am Bhuvana Sundara. The one who is most beautiful in creation, the one who beautifies creation is Bhagavan Krishna. She, like many Ranis is facilitating a swayamvara. Swayam means one's own effort or choice. And this is varana. Varana means you choose who is best. She has chosen Bhagavan Krishna. She knows he is the best. In her message, she shares, come and free me. She says, your shulka. Shulka means, now we call it dowry. Your shulka will be you. The implication being is that if you marry me, that is the dowry. What could be better than that? Okay, so those are some more details in this exchange. We are in the 10th skanda, the 53rd adhyaya still, the 26th shloka. Section 10, chapter 53, verse 26. Rishi Shuka is continuing to explain to Raja Parikshita the build-up leading to Bhagavan Krishna and Devi Rukmini's marriage. Evam chintayati bala Govinda Hritamanasa Nyamilayata Kalagnya Netre Chashru Kalakule. Raja Parikshita is describing how Devi Rukmini is feeling. Bala, this dear girl, Evam Chintayati, she is worried because the messenger has not come back. Who is she worrying about? Govinda Hrit Manasa. In her heart, in her head, is Govinda. Nyamilayata Kala Agnya, with her eyes closed, she's not realizing that time is passing. Netre Chashru Kalakule, and she's sobbing. Her eyes are wet, her cheeks are wet, her clothing is becoming wet too. She is dearly missing Bhagavan Krishna. Leading up to this, where Devi Rukmini is called Kundina. Kundina. And her brother Rukmi wants her to get married to Shishupala. So Shishupala and other rulers, that is his friends, they begin their barat to Kundina. And who's there? Here are Shishupala's friends. Salva, Jarasandha, Dandavaktra, Vidurata, Paundraka. These are wicked people. And when I say wicked, I mean that in a literal sense, not in an urban dictionary way. You will learn more about Dandavakra soon. Dandavaktra and Paundraka. So they're on their way to Kundina. She's waiting there. She wants Bhagavan Krishna to come. Now Balarama, he's in Dwaraka. And he finds out that these rulers are on their way to Devi, Rukmini, and he also knows that Bhagavan Krishna is going to go there. And as the older brother, he has to go and protect his younger brother. So he leaves Dwaraka to go to Kundina. Back to Devi Rukmini. She climbs up the highest tower in the kingdom and is looking out the window for that messenger. It sounds very Disney-like, no? She's looking out the window, and where is the messenger? And all of a sudden, the left side of her body starts to throb. For a deva, if the right side of your body throbs, call 911. Secondly, if you're still healthy, then that's a good omen. For devis, again, call 911. And secondly, if you're healthy, then that's a good omen. When her left side starts to throb, her thigh, her shoulder, her eye, who does she see then? That messenger. And that messenger has a huge smile on his face. So she doesn't need to exchange words. She knows that this exchange has been successful. And she doesn't know what to offer to this messenger. We always see in Ramayana or Mahabharata that they give necklaces, correct? Or here's 1,000 cows. She knew that this is Rishi Valmiki. What is he going to do with a necklace or cows? So she prostrates to him. And I feel that if you don't have the Vedanta of Bhagavata, those details are missed. She knew this is the same Rishi Valmiki who wanted Devi Sita to be married with or reunited with Bhagwan Rama. So she prostrates to him. Then Bhagwan Krishna arrives. I told you last week, he made a 25-hour journey overnight. So much intensity. And he was stationed outside of this kingdom, and all of the people came to see him. They gathered to see him on the outskirts. And that's why I read to you, those people who are holy or sattvic, all are attracted to them. Now, Bhagwan Krishna is the most holy, the most sattvic, so they all gathered. And now, the Swayamvara, to happen tomorrow, the puja that was leading up to this was beginning. Remember the puja, the procession? And as Devi Rukmini is walking and there's so many people around her, she's going to the mandir, her eyes are restless. She's just constantly looking around for Bhagwan. Like a child with candy, correct? They know if there's candy and their eyes are going everywhere until they find that candy. And Rishi Vyasa, in such a beautiful way, he says that she's walking here offering her beauty to Bhagwan Hari. This idea of going to the mandir in a procession, that's all fake. She's just offering her beauty to the one to whom it belongs to. And while this is happening, all of those rulers that have gathered there, they all fainted because she was so beautiful. And the lovely meaning behind this, her real beauty is for Bhagwan Hari. Her fake beauty, which is known as Maya, what does it do to people? It makes them faint. And then all of a sudden, she saw, and the word is Bhagwan Achyuta. Achyuta is the one who never falls or the one who never faints, correct? Again, these lovely details. Everyone else fainted. He never did. And then what did he do? He grabbed her, okay? Remember, they are one unit, okay? If I grab my hand, I don't go to jail for that. It's my hand. He grabbed her and he took off. And all of those rulers like Shishupala, etc., when they came out of their unconscious state, they looked like sculptures. They were just in shock at what happened. Bhagwan moved like lightning, like taking that fire out of that fire stick. Good? Now they're together at least. We don't know what's going to happen next, but they're together. So what happens next? And this will be the last verse that we study in this spiritual year. 10:54:5. 10:54:5. This is Bhagavan Krishna who's speaking to Bhagavati Rukmini now. And he says, Prahasya Bhagavan aha masma bhairva malochani vinangshat yudhane vete tat tavaike shastravam valam. And he shares here. Bhagavan Krishna smiles and laughs and says, Masma bhairava lochane, don't have fear in your eyes. All of the people who are coming to bring you back, all of the people who are coming to fight with me, I will fight them back. I will fight them off. So what happens? When these rulers who were frozen, they came out of their freeze, they started chasing Bhagavan Krishna. And Bhagavan Krishna tells Devi Rukmini, don't worry, I will fight them back. See, this is part of their Leela. She thinks that he's by himself, thinks that he doesn't have that power. And he does fight them. And Balarama's there with the armies, and they destroy Jarasandha's army. Remember, Jarasandha kept on defeating Bhagavan Krishna? Now, Bhagavan Krishna finally is able to defeat him. And Shishupala is so sad that Devi Rukmini is taken away. Who's most infuriated is Rukmi. That is Devi Rukmini's eldest brother who wanted her to marry Shishupala. And as he's going there, then Devi Rukmini, she tells Bhagavan Krishna not to kill him. And so Bhagavan Krishna, what he does is he ties Rukmi up and then shaves half of his head and half of his face. And the implication is, for someone who has a lot of pride, this type of Kshatriya bhava, to have half of your head shaved and half of your face shaved is insulting. It is like death. And what's interesting about this is it's fashion now. If you have a mohawk, you're more cool, correct? And how people groom their beards. Okay. Now, when Rukmi is tied up and his head and face has been shaved, Devi Rukmini is not happy. She's expressing her attachment to her brother, to Bhagavan Krishna. And who's observing all of this? Shri Balarama. And he says to her, I'll read in English. It is a perversion of intelligence if you, like an utterly senseless person, think that one who is noted for his universal ill will should always meet with benevolence and kindness just because that person happens to be your relative. It will finally recoil on the person you try to protect. And this is a deep teaching. She's expressing her attachment to her brother. And Sri Balarama is saying, your relative is not one who is associated to you by blood, but rather by dharma. And if you keep on protecting those who are adharmic, it's worse for them. And that is a really empowering message about how we should be with our relatives. And it's so interesting that this is inserted in this portion leading up to their marriage. What this reminds me of is Sri Lakshmana's Rekha. Remember in the Ramayana, when he as if gives advice to Devi Sita, he never looks past her ankles. But this is one part of Ramayana where he's speaking more than listening. And here too, who is Sri Balarama to speak to Devi Rukmini? But this is shown here This is for your own protection. And then there's heavy Vedanta that comes in after this. His Upadesha continues. Some of the highlights for you to reflect upon. He says, there is no yoga or viyoga, which means there's no union or disunion because there is no other. See, you can only unite with one who's not you, correct? He's trying to share with her that all is Bhagavan Krishna. Have faith in him. This idea of attachment and detachment, this is an illusion. He shares that our nature is like the moon. The moon is always full. It is only we, with our limited perspective, that we see the waxing and the waning. Correct? So my waning is when I feel I'm the body and I'm the mind and I'm the intellect. My nature is as if weaker. So what to do? When you follow Bhagavatam, when you follow Bhagavan Krishna, it's like you're waxing. More of your nature is revealed. And one more highlight is, he says, like in a dream, everything in that dream is the same as the dreamer. The trees, the ground, the food. So too, all of creation is the creator. When we are asleep due to ignorance, we feel this separation. Before I read our celebration line, reviewing how we got here. Devi Rukmini sends a messenger to Bhagavan Krishna. Bhagavan Krishna shares with the messenger that I'm coming to Kundina. Shishupala and his friends are leaving on their barat to go to Kundina. Balarama is leaving with the army from Dwaraka to Kundina. Devi Rukmini sees the messenger, so she's happy. Now everyone is going to the mandir to pray to Bhagavati Parvati. Devi's looking after Devis. Devi Rukmini is most beautiful, so everyone there who has lust towards her faints. And by doing so, she's able to see Bhagavan Achyuta clearly, and he takes her. And they're riding away. Then Shishupala and his friends chase Bhagavan Krishna. Bhagavan Krishna, Sri Balarama defend. And they capture Rukmi. He wouldn't give up. And they've shaved his head and his face. Devi Rukmi is telling Bhagavan Krishna what you're doing is wrong. So Sri Balarama gives this Upadesha. And she feels more comforted by this. And I'm sharing this Upadesha also because even in the most divine family, there is politics. Leave alone our families. And then, what happens? Vidivad upayeme kurut vaha. Following the injunctions and the guidelines of the Veda, Bhagavan Krishna and Bhagavati Rukmini get married. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai. Bhagavati Rukmini ki jai. And really, there's only half a line that's indicated about their wedding that I just read to you. Now, some of the Vedanta relating to this. Throughout the message that she sent, she said it's okay if we elope. This is called a Rakshasa Vivaha. The word vivaha means special upliftment. Vaha means to lift. Vivaha, which is Vishesha Vaha, or Vishesha Vahati, a special upliftment, is what marriage is supposed to be. But what did Bhagavan Krishna do? Vaha, he only lifted her, correct? It wasn't a vivaha. That's the difference between a Vedic marriage and a Rakshasa marriage. But then he does change this from Vaha to Vivaha. And they get married. What's most special about this is that Bhagavan Krishna became a Rakshasa for Bhagavati Rukmini. Correct? And he's ready to do the same for us if we're like Bhagavati Rukmini. She is a mumukshu. She is a seeker. She is ready to go through tapa lifetime after lifetime to be with Bhagavan. Bhagavan became a Rakshasa for her. He will do the same for us. Whatever challenges we're going through with our own bodies, our families, community, etc., Bhagavan will lift us from that, will free us. Dwarakayam abhudrajan mahamoda purakasam rukminya ramayopetam drishtva krishna shriyapitam. Dwarakayam abhudrajan. He's sharing with Raja Parikshita. Those who lived in Dwaraka, abhud, they were in wonder. Mahamoda puraukasam, and they felt great joy. Why? Rukminya ramayopetam drishtva krishnam shriyah pitam, seeing the marriage of Devi Rukmini and Bhagavan Krishna. They were delighted because this is the marriage of Bhagavan Narayana and Bhagavati Lakshmi. Oh.